I think I still need more light, but maybe this will do. I don't know. I am going to crochet for a minute and give everybody just a minute to get in here. I don't feel good today, y'all. I think yesterday was a overdone day for my body, and I'm just not doing good today. One of the things I wanted to pop on here and leave a little conversation about is my take on this Idaho shooting situation with the 20-year-old. Um, just some perspectives. I've seen a lot of retired law enforcement come out with kind of the same perspective that I've got. Media won't touch it with a 10-foot pole, which tells me I'm probably somewhere in the correct ballpark. So I just wanted to pop on and leave some more of my thoughts. I've been trying to rest today, and I can't. So I thought, well, let's do this, and then maybe if I get a rest, I can rest later. My eyes will be a little bit better to finish up my reading and read my notes for chapter 4 later. There's some certain things that I noticed about this Idaho situation. Of course, the first thing you notice is that everybody wants to scream that it's supposedly they think it's immediately an Aryan Brotherhood issue from the issue they had, the fire they had 20-something years ago. For media or anyone in the police department to feel that is stupid, because the Aryan Brotherhood has changed a lot over the last couple of decades, and it's really, this is just kind of telling you like it is. I did interstate compact for my state, and therefore I had to be aware of, the movement of certain gangs, certain populations. It's become an old man's game in the last couple of decades. It's still out there, but it's not like a prevalent, active community. Their focus has shifted to other things. And so as soon as I started saying that, I was like, well, that's not even plausible if you've been in law enforcement anytime recently to know how the gangs are moving and how they're interacting and what their goals are for their population. Okay, Kim. I'm supposed to be laid down, but I can't rest. I overdid it yesterday. I can't rest. Luna's in the chair next to me, is cleaning herself like a cat. She grooms like a cat. I don't understand that. But anyway, whatever. Anyway, so I've had a lot of people respond or even send me messages and emails about my take on the Idaho thing the other day. But y'all, I'm going to stand by it. I don't believe mainstream media because, number one, Aryan Brotherhood is not active, really super active in that area. The Aryan Brotherhood is turned into an old man's game. Their focus is on different things. They've shifted to different regions. And like I said in my thing, that's open real estate in that band of the country right there. That's why you see the Tren de Aragua, or the TDA as we call them in training. That's where you're seeing them pop up there. They pop up there because no one owns the real estate anymore. That's how they showed up and started taking over so easily. It boggles my mind why, people will ask for an informed opinion and then, send you like a manifesto email about all the ways you're wrong, but then believe mainstream media when they say like one thing. Oh, has it, Kim? I'm sorry. I'll yell at you as soon as I get off here. I think I missed a stitch. No, I didn't. Okay. But I had someone respond earlier again, and it's the same thing. They just want to say, well, you're wrong. Okay, well, why do you think I'm wrong? What can we communicate? Can we talk about this? Because if you've got better ideas, I'm absolutely fine with listening, but nobody wants to offer an idea. We've got to be less concerned about being right and more concerned about understanding why we may be wrong. Because in this day and age, in this country, a lot of things are going wrong, but we won't talk about them. We won't brainstorm. We won't try to discuss things that we can change, things that we can improve. We just want to talk about why our opinion is the right opinion. And the thing is that a lot of people have opinions that are more right than wrong. And that's normally how the country keeps the moral compass going. But when we start to see things go absolutely cattywampus, but they're shutting down communication, it's because they don't want us talking to each other and putting factual evidence together and making a network of understanding with the things that we're seeing happen in our nation. They just want you in your feels about this. And if you get hyper emotional about anything you see on the news, it's stupid because you're not being told the truth. Why should you react truthfully to it? Just sit back and take it as information, put it in the pile, and sort through it as you research. So now for the people that like to email me and tell me I have a vagina and therefore I gleaned nothing from my time in law enforcement and supervising violent offenders and doing interstate compact. Like I said, that is a band in the nation where there's not a lot of gang activity anymore. There's some, but it's not a predominantly well-known and attributed to area where one flourishes and the others back away slowly. That is why we're seeing gangs from other countries come in and go there because it is open real estate in the U.S. for the taking. They can go in and just have to worry about citizens and not have to worry about a rival. Okay? Okay, that's pretty simple to understand, right? I would hope so. If you're already having problems, click away. This is not the channel for you. So when they see open real estate and they come in and do stuff like that, you know that, hey, you know something, there's not a presence there. And it's the same thing as when you if someone were to say that for 10 years my property has been visited by a giant bear and I've lost 4 calves each year to bear kills, and then someone kills this big bear and they're like, you're not ever going to have another problem. And then the next winter the farmer loses 3 more calves. He's like, why? I don't have the big bear anymore. No, but you had open real estate and probably another big one moved in. That's why we've got to have law enforcement everywhere. That's why you need to maintain populations. You need to monitor. So that's kind of what's happening in that band across the top Midwestern part of the U.S. up there. So here's the thing. This kid was supposedly 20. Number one, he's adopted out of Russia. I've worked with kids that have been adopted out of Russia. The one specifically that I absolutely grew super attached to was a great, great, great kid. He was adopted out of Russia. He and his 2 younger brothers who were twins were adopted out of Russia when they got off the plane in the United States. The rich people that adopted them said, oh, we just wanted your twin brothers. We're going to put you in a placement facility for troubled youth and raise your twin brothers, but you just need to go on about your way. I've met all kinds of sorry people in the world. Let me tell you what. That kid was not a problem. He was grateful to be here and be out of where he was, but his chance at having a loving family was taken away from him by people who didn't think things through. Great kid. Not all kids that come out of those scenarios emotionally heal. But I'm going to tell you why I think any 20-year-old who done this could not have acted alone. At 20, you just don't know enough about the world. You just don't have the brain cognition and the spatial awareness and the community involvement and just the hyper absorption of factual and empirical data to turn around and do a premeditated event like this. You just don't understand the layers that you have to seek through to get the information to be able to pull this crap off, okay? Thank you, Mary. No, the Proud Boys are not considered that. No, the Proud Boys were basically just politically named. They're not part of the Aryan Brotherhood. The Aryan Brotherhood would take offense to that. That's what the media has told you for so long. That's what the media wants to lump them in as, but no, they're not lumped in that category at all. The media might put them there, but as far as a security threat group, no. So this kid would, number one, have had to have had, number one, weapons training to a level to where he is able in high pressure, high emotional, and real natural environmental changes that occur every day with weather, smoke, the fire. He would have had to have had the knowledge and training to have basically been a military sniper with all that going on around him. Now, his parents did apparently work closely on that land, but the knowledge he would have had to have had of the land, the layout, the environmental and meteorological, to know, where's the wind going, where will the smoke go, where will my cover be, where will this go, to know that, who would respond, how many law enforcement are on the area, who would respond first, how to get the people that he was targeting out there first. You have to have some knowledge about how things work. And then he would have to know, because he obviously wanted to do as much damage as possible, he'd have to know what they would deploy first to try to find him, and how he was going to remain hidden as long as possible, which he did a pretty effective job of. 20-year-olds don't have a lot of knowledge if they're working on their own and they're just a rebellious young child. That's just a lot of knowledge you don't come across, and you just don't get naturally. And even if he was deep diving in certain things, some of these things, especially like the gear that local law enforcement has to impede certain levels of threat groups, that's not readily known in the area. They don't tell their citizens every little piece of machinery they have that can save their lives. You don't always tell, you don't show all your cards. So, and plus know what they have, plus know how to combat it, how to hide from it. No. So my thoughts about him working alone, no, he wasn't working alone. Now, he might have been a very angry young man, may have very well been. Might have felt very justified in his behaviors. Justification doesn't mean it's right. Let me tell you what. If feeling justified in your behaviors made you right, I'd hate to know who'd be in charge of the world today, and I'd hate to know what people would actually try to do if they could justify all their emotions and behaviors and feelings. It is very rare for somebody of that age, even with some training, to be able to take numerous lives without the body going into shock or having some kind of adverse emotional reaction to just the event, even if they think they're well suited mentally and have hardened themselves to do something like that. The body will normally react in a way you don't understand and you aren't prepared for. But listen, just the marksmanship, the strategy, the lay of the land, the maneuverability he had, where he drew them into, knowing how the smoke would travel, knowing how the smoke would impede them finding him. This is all stuff that at 20 years old, listen, you just, it's, no. He had to have an inside somewhere, or he probably had linked up with other people, and I'm trying to make a loop and I can't. He probably linked up with other people that were older and, offered their strategic advice. And, and people say, well, it said he acted alone. Listen, Leon, I'm just going to say something that's a blanket statement that I will stick to until I die. Have you ever seen a liberal do anything mean alone? Have you? I've not. Like, there is someone in there aiding and abetting. There's a group feeding them. There's a chat group, a forum, a Reddit, Substack, somewhere that's feeding them information and amping them up. They feel that they are representing a group when they go out and do these things. And normally that's because they have the group's mentality and the group's information. So it's very important, that they find out who this kid was hanging around, what he was doing online, how he spent his time, because we need to make sure there's not another one coming right behind him, you know. But I really feel that with the political ignorance that's floating around in the world today, it's so easy to sway the youth because, listen, they're just not going to sit down and study, y'all. School used to be a preparation for life. Now it's just a social club. They don't know how to research, they don't know how to study, and they don't know how to even ask themselves questions to get through the day. And, you know, am I learning enough? Am I doing the right thing? Do I have the right perspective on the world? Do I need to, you know, enlarge my scope of imagination about the world around me? So what we have are kids that are, you know, they live on algorithms, and when they're angry, the algorithm feeds them, and it doesn't feed them anything to stifle the anger. It only feeds them more to make them more angry. And so it's, you know, the knowledge he had did not just come from him. So in my mind, no, he did not act alone. I believe probably that scenario had probably been run through several times, and he probably had people help him run it. He had to know the lay of the land, how the people would funnel through there, the easiest path that the firefighters or the responding parties would take. These are all things that if you look at a combat zone or a bodies move into the environment, how they're affected by the environment, and how people use the environment against you. So beyond just the weaponry and the knowledge of the police, there's an aged feeling about all the things that he put in play here to be able to accomplish this. So I just don't think he acted alone, whether it was in getting intelligence, having people help him run through the scenario. I mean, nobody's going to notice it. And I stand by my people in gated communities. They don't pay attention. They don't pay attention. They don't pay attention. They think they're safe behind their gates. They don't really think they live in the real world. You know, they're not part of us. You know, they're part of the gated community, and they just come out to shop, you know, and rub elbows, but they go back home where they're safe. I've been in gated communities. They just have a different vibe. They have a different perspective. They don't really think that anything can get to them, so they don't really pay attention when they leave their homes because, you know, they feel absolutely safe in their homes. They've never really prepared themselves to pay attention to anything outside of their home. A lot of them aren't armed. A lot of the gated communities, they frown on that. You know, they don't like people that can take care of themselves and fend for themselves. They, you know, they want you to pay money to feel safe, and that's why you live in a gated community. So, you know, they wouldn't have noticed anything, and he would have felt completely safe because he knows the dissociation, you know, that people in gated communities have with the rest of society. And I'm sorry, but I saw it every goddamn day of my life when I worked in that. It was just, and if someone's nephew that was going to reside with them after they got out of prison was in a gated community, the hoops I had to jump through to do a home visit because they don't want the neighbors to know. You need to stay at the security shed and have them radio in, and then they can let me know, and then we'll bring you around the back. No. If you didn't want them here, you should have said, okay, you can live here. So anyway, I'm just appalled at how quickly this showed up in the media, and then people were satisfied with a 20-year-old kid accomplish this. Y'all, if a 20-year-old kid can come into our nation and accomplish this, I hate to tell you, but the other tens of millions they snuck in on us, we're screwed. We're screwed. So it's time to, you know, it's time to be thinking about, oh, how are our youngins getting radicalized? How are we starting to see this radicalization grow? Maybe us old fogies that don't like to be on the internet, maybe we need to spend some time on the internet to see what kind of leadership is being given to these disgruntled and lost youth to turn them into these crazy lunatics that we're seeing pop up in society. I'm making another possum, but I'm making a princess possum and making its tail and nose purple. I might put a little tiara on it too, just see how much I want to crochet. So there's just a lot that went into that, you know, a 20-year-old that didn't have help or didn't have help understanding that side of law enforcement and, you know, emergency response, you know, geography, logistics, weaponry, emotional stability, and mental preparedness. You know, there was just a lot there. The fact that he was not there to be questioned and they didn't see him in the act of everything leaves a lot of open-ended questions for people that really are looking at this carefully. Solid. Well, thanks. I was trying to sleep because I've just had this headache, but I just cannot rest. So I thought I'm going to sit up for a minute. Luna needed to play. And after the water heater fiasco yesterday and then plumbing all night, and it was just a stressful day yesterday. Stressful day yesterday. And I've got to chill out today because I've got to have that blood work and EKG done tomorrow. And I don't want them thinking my heart's going bad when I've just had a stressful couple days. Plus, I got to pick beans. I was going to pick beans tomorrow morning early, but that kind of fell through. So I guess I'm going to do that over the weekend. I got to put beans up. So I got a lot going on right now. Got a lot going on. And I don't feel like doing any of it. But anyway, so people run around the internet, you know, just to watch people's videos and send them an email, a message, or just comment and say, you're wrong. Okay, well, I'm not going to learn anything or be able to communicate with you if you don't leave me a little bit more now. But that's the problem with the world. We're so consumed with just being right, having the last say, that we don't even think about communicating anymore. How is our nation being destroyed? Because we can't communicate. We can't communicate. We can't communicate about anything. We just absolutely... Luna. My dog just crop dusted. Ugh, me. Lord, Luna. But we don't talk about anything anymore. And that's why we're seeing the radicals get the news time, have all the crap happening, because they're the ones that go online. They're the ones that get in groups. They're the ones that talk each other up and get each other in these fiery moods to go and basically be an incendiary device and set off the world. So for us to think he was alone in any capacity is probably wrong, because listen, you can have a nice view of the land, but until you see another body walk into it and see how they react to it, you can have every theory in the world, but until you have somebody walk it, give you feedback of what happened, what they ran into, where their body wanted to go, the least resistance, scope of vision, you just don't know. So if you want to really stay hidden in it, you've got to have multiple perspectives, and you've got to have your eye on them while you're watching them, read their body, and then have them tell you what you couldn't read, you know, that internally what they were thinking. There's so many points you have to have on this. He had help. Whether he had it with him that day or not, he had help. This was not a lone actor. This is our youth and younger generations getting on the internet and being lied to every day, getting these very false-based presumptions about other nations and how other nations behave and act, and getting false information about what their desires as a foreign entity are in our nation. The word hijack comes to mind more than once, because our nation's being hijacked, our youth is being hijacked. And listen, y'all, I would say that our intelligence is being hijacked, but I fear it's already gone by the wayside. But if we had the gang presence that Americans thought we had with the gang, and I laugh when I think of gangs in America, like 10 years ago, the gangs in America, because even the gangs in America were so subpar when related to the gangs that came out of other countries and nations. Like our gangs are on a playground compared to the other gangs that come in. Okay? So our gangs are the babies. They're the toddlers, the little cousins of all these very solidified, hostile, and very well established and maneuverable gangs from other foreign places. Like you go on to gang training in America, and it's kind of a joke when you finally learn about the gangs in the other places and how they seeded gangs here. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. And it's they're dangerous, but when compared to the other nation, they're not as dangerous as the others. They're the babies. They're the babies in the family. So it's something we have to think about. It's something we're going to have to start talking about. It's something that whether people, want us to talk about it or not, we're going to have to start talking about. We're going to have to start having these conversations. We're going to have to start knowing more about what's going on the internet. We're going to have to be more aware. We're going to have to, as smaller communities, start thinking in bigger ways and start understanding that even as small communities, what it does as a small community is leave us very open because they automatically know, number one, we don't have the numbers of law enforcement, we don't have the numbers of weaponry, we don't have the training, we don't have the skill set that many urban areas have to defend ourselves. So, rural areas are going to be foobarred, should something break loose in this nation. It's going to take every good old boy and everything they got, to stand your ground because it's just the way it is. So we're going to have to start communicating and stop just wanting to be right and start logically and critically thinking about these things and discussing these things so that we can start figuring out what in the crap is going on and how these people are finding our youth and what makes our youth think that these avenues of behavior and these avenues of anger are so attractive. Now, I have my own theories on that, and you two probably wouldn't like them. But I imagine that most of y'all have your own theories on it too. I used to work with at-risk youth. I used to work with kids in juvenile justice and social services. I used to work at a wilderness boot camp that was in a prison alternate placement. And, a misguided youth is honestly much more dangerous than an adult. Why? Well, because they haven't been anchored emotionally to anyone but themselves. They don't have a family, they don't have children, they don't understand the perspective of life from a parent. World changes when you have kids. You understand the things that are really important out there. So they're unfettered, we'll just say that. And if you can get them young enough, then they'll never become locked in to see it any other way but the way that their groomer makes them see it. So we're going to have to reclaim our youth in this nation, pull them back in, and if they need to learn about the rest of the world, then we need to be telling them about it. We need to be truthful and honest. But, they need to have some authority figures and some support systems from our side of the fence because the mainstream media and, I said this a couple years ago because I used to do counseling, and I always thought it was weird how when something happened in the family, it used to be the family circled up the wagons and helped this person, and then if the family couldn't help them, then they would seek professional help. 9 times out of 10, a good, solid family can talk any family member almost through any scenario. That's what a good, loving family can do. They're worth more than any counselor, any therapist, any psychiatrist, just telling you. But what we see now is that parents are so terrified to parent their children that when anything happens, they push them away for fear of retaliation if they parent in any way, because they're going to be criticized, ostracized, and basically crucified in the media or in their community for being a parent. So they push them away to a complete stranger to fix the problem, which is completely backwards from the way that would benefit that kid the most. Because they already feel not part of their family for some reason, and pushing them farther away for help normally finishes that off. Families, try to bring them in and comfort them and talk to them before you send them to a professional. Unless they're having critically unbalanced issues, sometimes, a good little a good little 2 a.m. talk about things that you've left unsaid can mend a lot. But again, you know, we turn into a society that daycare's raised their children, pre-K's raised their children, the schools raised their children, now tablets raise their children, movies, the media. Parents are busy and never there. When parents are there, they get scrutinized and penalized and thrown down the river for being a parent. And then when these kids act out, they won't blame it on the kid. They blame it on everything else. You know, we're gonna have to stop, and we're gonna have to say, hey, you know something? We're gonna have to deal with it, and it starts at home. It starts with the parents. Starts with the family unit. Then, if you need help, get help, but make sure as a family unit you still have power and authority over that help. Make sure you find a good fit for your help. A lot of it is the decay of the family in our nation, the rebellion that has been seeded as appropriate in our youth because they see it everywhere else in the world, you know, and they think that America is something horrible because a few rich men bypass laws and screw things up and other people have to clean it up. Instead of looking at the cleanup crew, maybe look at the people that caused problems for 5 seconds. Maybe say, hey, you know something? This may have been a joint effort. Maybe everybody's got a hand in this. Maybe I'm too quick to jump on and flog somebody. Maybe I need to look at the rest of the chickens before I start to smack the rooster. So that's where I'm thinking this morning. But a lot of people have been very verbal about my little synopsis, and I stand by it. And the more I've watched other people after I did mine yesterday evening, last night when I couldn't sleep, I was watching other like retired law enforcement, and they pretty much had the same perspective I did. It just doesn't pass the smell test. He knew too much inside information, which is not readily available or given at one specific or strategic point. It's going to take several people that specialized in several things to tell him everything he needed to know, because there were too many coincidences that just would have come together for that to have just been coincidence, you know? You know, it was just, it didn't feel right, y'all. It didn't feel right. And I've always gone with my gut, and my gut's always been pretty doggone good. We also need to, we need to talk about the high factor of the trans community having violent outbursts, removing themselves from society, self-removing, self-isolation, placed upon themselves. The first thing they'll tell you is they're not part of the society, or they're not part, you know, they will self-isolate and then blame everyone else for feeling isolated. So we need to have some long talks to people and say, listen, you know, you can make choices about this, this, and this, but you don't get to blame it on everybody else. So if you're mad about something, you're going to have to start talking to people, because it's walking around moody and then trying to take it out on everybody that you know. It's getting old. It's getting real old. Lay down. Yeah, always trust your gut. Always trust your gut. Because if you can't look internal and reflect and trust your gut, that's when you start looking to external to get that gratification and support and validation. And you just want to feel validated so that you can take the next step forward. And these people that want you to take the next step forward until you fall off the cliff, they don't care about what you're fixing to do. They're going to validate you, and they're going to watch you run and destroy yourself, your life, your community. They don't care. And so for these young kids going out there and finding these people and thinking these people care about them, they do not. They are empty husks of people without a soul sitting behind a screen, manipulating children. They're lost in the shuffle because the world is a perfect storm right now, and nobody can parent but the government. And ain't they doing a awesome job? It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Okay, Mickey, thanks for popping in. It's been hard to have a garden this year because of all the rain. You've had to know the soil drainage, where to move stuff, where to plant stuff. And then just getting hay in's been like double jeopardy this year. And I've got stuff that's blooming at least 6 weeks ahead of time because of the heat from the moisture and all the moisture that's been, and it's stuff's not acting right this year. It's so weird. It's so weird this year. This year's been so weird. But I just wanted to come on and say that because I've had so many people see that little blurb, and I can't listen when I'm doing a short. I can't fit every thought in there, and so I try to hit the high points. But I'm just telling you, when you look at a scenario and you go into it, looking at a crime scene, or you're looking at it in a training scenario of all, and you take apart all the parts. You've got Mother Nature, then you've got wildlife in nature, then you've got the plants, the botany, you've got the smoke, how that will affect all of those things, you know, the wind, the weather that comes and goes and changes. You have to stay up on that, you know. Then you've got the person, how they will react mentally, emotionally, physically, environmentally. You've got to know their training. Then you've got to know what kind of deployments they have to seek you out. You've got to know how to hide. You've got to understand all those things again and how it's going to interact. And not only that, but then you have to be competent in your weaponry with all of that going on, and with high emotions for a 20-year-old. There's something else to this. There's something else to this. I put some back for next year, so I should be okay in seeds. Thank you, though. It's people. It cracks me up when they just look at this and think he just might have got a gun and walked out to do this, and not understand all the components that come into a scenario like this. And when you start to take the scene apart in layers, and then understand that it wasn't a controlled environment, he was out in the open, you know, that adds a whole nother layer of things to take apart. And then, you know, media will say one thing, and then the whole of society will swallow it and go, well, I guess that was it. We're not going to talk about it anymore? Oh, no, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm just going to go online. I'm going to tell everybody they think that's different. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. 2 words. You say 2 words for the last 3 days? 2 words? Let's have a discussion. You know, I would like to see somebody take an average 20-year-old, even one that hunts and handles weapon a lot, put them out in that scenario, recreate it to the best of their ability, and then see if they could pull off the damage just on targets that boy did. There's something off here. Whether he got help to train him at an early age, he had an insight into certain law enforcement intel, or he had training on ground from some other designated group of individuals. I don't know, you know, of course everything's AI here lately. Everybody's consumed with AI. My thoughts on AI are there's 2 ways to look at it. AI was created by a very limited human being. AI was created by a very limited capacity human being. So therefore, AI should have some unnatural but couldn't be helped human limitations upon it, right? Or somehow humans in their limitations somehow open the doors to technology that has no limits. That's the only 2 ways it can go. That's the only 2 ways it can go. Will we ever know? I don't know, because we're limited humans. I don't know if we'll ever understand it. I don't know if we'll ever know what's going on, or I don't know if we'll even see the warnings before it bites us in the butt. I just don't know if we're that smart. I just don't know. I don't have a clue. But I don't know. I mean, people are just all over the internet, and if you had any kind of position on that, and you think in any kind of law enforcement, it's kind of funny because everybody in the law enforcement capacity that's kind of been like, this is how I feel about it, and I see something else is going on here, and I want to know what it is. They've been hounded really big, for their beliefs behind this, and but I'm going to stand by it. I think there's more to it. I think there's more to it. And I'm sure that there are people that have lived here and they're middle-aged, going on early retirement, and they've lived here their whole lives. They were probably sent here by a foreign nation to be, an encampment. I'm sure it happens in every nation. There are those individuals, and they live successfully in another nation, but when called upon, they act in the best interest of their nation. I'm sure. But a 20-year-old, I just don't think you can pull this off alone. I just don't. There's too much to take apart there. Too many things that would have to go completely right all together at the same time, which would be statistically impossible in a haphazard way. So there had to be something else going on there. And one day maybe we'll know it. I don't know. I would think it would have limits too. It's like when people talk about God. The first thing they do when they talk about God is put human limits on an all-knowing God. And so when people start to do that, I kind of retract, because I'm like, you built the parameters for your own God. Well, ain't no winning talking to you. I'm going to go over here. So I just kind of back away. When you get out of scripture and you start building your own parameters for, I'm going to go over here. Because it's not going to be a conversation I'm going to be comfortable in or feel is founded in anything. It's just going to come from your head. That's another thing these kids need to know, that get out there and live physically in your communities, get your support systems, have a physical life, because then if something shows, if your behavior is off, people can see it. They can see you interact poorly, or witness you having problems, second guessing yourself, and they can say, hey, are you okay? Do you need help? But when you live in here and you live we can't join that world with you. It's in here. You're talking to names that you've given faces and probably entire backstories, and it's like, that's all fake. But the youth don't see it that way. They build these, it's just like meta, just in their own little head, and they think everybody else can understand that. And then they feel really mad because people see what I think. They see me. No, we don't. Youth, listen to me. We don't. We can't see between your ears, behind your eyes. You have to verbalize that. You have to give some hints. We can't. We try. A lot of us can catch it if we know you well, but most of us can't. You're going to have to verbalize and tell us what's going on. Because if you sit there and never interact with society and then claim you hate it and you feel ostracized and then retaliate against it, I'm going to show you a kid that was never socially trained. He was never socialized successfully. He was never taught to behave. He was never put in a group of people and told, you must find your place in this group and establish a pecking order and establish yourself and find happiness in this group. What they've done is they've isolated this kid, or the kid is self-isolated. The only place they find happiness is in here. And it creates a whole problem, because then they retreat. The world lives in here. Nobody else can touch it. The ostracization grows. The dissociation grows. And then we've got mania that presents. And then we've got a kid that's going down a hill, greased. We can't help them. Hey, Gypsy, I didn't see you pop in. And my dog is snoring. Do you hear her snore? I'm getting hidden messages, and they're really lame. The effort is on a minimum today, people. Let me just tell you. But y'all, in all my times of supervising murderers and sex offenders and the violent interstate compact cases, we're going to have to amp up looking at the behavior on the internet. I mean, I get these type of messages all the time. It's just people have a lot of time on the internet and they go around and they just bomb people and say inappropriate things. It's normally because they got a lot of time, not a lot of money, and they got a lot of time, not a lot of smarts. Because people that have money are busy working, and people that have educations are also busy, using their education. So we got a low feeder population here on the internet, and our children are engaging with them in high capacity. And we're going to have to reduce this. We're going to have to start having a better grip on this interaction on social media and beyond. So we're going to have to, policing is going to have to ramp up on the internet. It's getting better. It's getting much better. But we're going to have to really look at it for what it is. It's a super highway for predation, for middle-aged, nasty old people that ain't got nothing else going for them than to think they can pull a kid by the nose. We're going to have to look at that specific piece of the population that routinely misuse these platforms to do just that. And maybe one day we'll get it figured out. I hope we do. But we got to be parents. We got to understand that society is what we make of it, because we must put ourselves in it, and we must, if we don't like it, then we have to work hard to help it out, to make it better. It's like soup. You're going to have to get out there and season it yourself. And if you don't like it after that, probably the problem's you. You may not have tried hard enough. We're going to have to stop blaming everybody else for our problems, our shortcomings, our beliefs, our inside voices that nobody else can hear. Stop blaming everybody for your inside voice. You own that. Tell it to go away. Change it. You can do it. In 30 days, you can revamp your entire being. It just takes a lot of effort. So we're going to have to start looking at these things. We're going to have to make sure that our younger population is not hijacked. We've got so many people in this nation that are filled with hate. And it's been formulated and strategically orchestrated perfectly to basically implode a society. How do you take a pretty well-functioning nation and turn it on its end? Well, you create political tension. Then you further flare that political tension by changing the social buildup. And then the ones that are struggling, will want that fixed. The ones that kind of free for all, they don't want it fixed. Well, then it's going to further make that political tension worse. It's also going to create tension with any kind of law enforcement, any kind of boundary making, personnel. You're immediately going to have problems with it. Then the other side is going to have problems because you have problems with it. It's just a perfect storm. And instead of everybody spitting at each other, we need to be looking at the higher-ups that created this, that bypassed laws, that broke laws to emotionally and physically manipulate people that were in a poor situation, to bring them to another nation, set them up for failure, not prepare them for living in this nation, in this society, and then dropping them on their butt and saying, now fend for yourself. We got you here, but we're going to be 2-3 years at get the paperwork done so you can actually work and be part of the community. So just sit still, be good. Find under the table ways of making money until we can get to you in a couple of 3 years. Why would you do that? Why would you not leave people where they can function correctly? They know how to live. Slowly get them through this process, and then when they come over, you can integrate them and have the resources and the funding necessary to set them up for success, not set them up for failure. They didn't know they were being lied to. They didn't know they were being manipulated. They thought they were given, a yellow brick road. I feel bad for them. I do. I'm not mad at the people that don't understand that, though I'm frustrated that they can't look at it from another perspective. I'm mad at our higher-ups that looked at every law that our society lives by and says, well, I'm going to screw all y'all over, break everything, and just flood y'all and create a lot of tension. So whether yous are tense from having people here, tense from people being pushed back, or yous are just all going to be mad, and I'm just going to be happy because y'all are going to be mad. Well, screw y'all too. We're mad. I'm mad at the higher-ups. Well, everybody else is mad at each other. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. They set it up perfectly. Perfectly. Because people that are emotional don't know how to take it apart and follow and see, oh, well, this is the initial speed bump. This is where it went wrong. We bypassed several things right here in this category with this one specific group of people, and it ruined everything else. Yes, it did. It did. So why don't we fix it up here? Well, we got political parties that they won't let us talk about it. They won't let us erase it, take it off social media. Don't you say that. So they would rather every member of society be fighting than to go, yeah, that shouldn't have been done. It was illegal. It was a snore. It was a nasty, nasty, nasty little trick by somebody that knew better and knew what they were doing. And now it's got to be corrected because our society and our country cannot absorb this much at one time and maintain any kind of stability for the people that were already here, let alone create a world where these kids are going to grow up without all this massive emotional volcanic spewing. I mean, it's just we've got to get things settled down. We've got to. We've got to. I would not go to another country and smack a police officer for trying to arrest somebody that snuck into their country that had criminal records or committed felonies while there. I wouldn't dare go and interject myself and say, you may not. And so I sit at home and I'm flabbergasted when I see other people do that here. It boggles my mind. But then again, I worked in the court system, parole, corrections, and so I see the harm that these individuals do on communities. So I'm very hyper aware of that. Maybe other people are not. I'm very hyper aware of it, and it's not good. It's not good. My dog is snoring so loud. Y'all have your side conversations. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here and say that if we do not stop screaming at each other and start looking and logically, critical thinking, take things apart, follow the information back, look for the first speed bump, not the last 15, the first, and correct the first. We've got to do a back trail, y'all. And you know something? Sometimes you need a factory reset. And honestly, I think that's kind of what America needs, a factory reset. And it does, and I'm going to piss a whole lot of people off, it does, in many ways, involve us removing the criminal component that came over here. And people that came over here that can't function, that aren't socially capable of blending successfully. Because it's hard on them, it's hard on us. Put them back where they can function. I feel bad because our last president completely violated laws and manipulated tons of people that were easily manipulated because of their situations. I'm ashamed we had a bully like that do that. Because I wouldn't look at a homeless man and go, let me put you in the Ritz-Carlton for 3 years, never let you work. Whatever you earn, you can't show anybody. You know, and I'm not going to let you work. It's going to take us 3 years to get you through court and through paperwork and get you a work permit. And, you know, and I'm going to give you $4,000 a month. And I'm not going to tell you that this is just because I'm in the office and it's probably going to change immediately. And then I'm breaking laws to do it. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to sit you up and then I'm going to pull the rug off from under you and not even care, not even prepare you before I'm going out of office, not even prepare you if there's a chance I'm not going to be reelected, not even tell you this is based on if I stay in power. And then I'm just going to walk away and let somebody else have to deal with it. Society and everybody. That I'm so sick to know that that happened. I'm so sick to know that that happened. So sick. And y'all, it doesn't just happen. You know, that it was done by design for a reason, probably to implode our nation. Sad. It's very sad. It's working because everybody's too upset at each other to sit back and go, gee, this looks very handy for the powers that be. They're getting away with a lot of stuff. Well, we're infighting. Yeah, that's exactly. It's like shaking a jar of ants. And it's like the people that mob the cars and then are so alarmed and surprised when that driver has to pick an avenue to flee. And listen, there's always a breach in the line somewhere, and then he clips one person or runs over one person to get away from the 20, and they're appalled that he ran over one person. Are you all not appalled that 20 people jumped on a car and started beating it and terrifying the person inside? You're not, but you're appalled when that man wanted to flee for his life. We have got to start thinking beyond the end of our nose and look at how we impact other people. Look at the ripple effect and understand why that's such a big thing, because the ripple effect sets everything else in motion for everyone else around us. And that's why it's so important to pick your leaders, pick the people that represent you. That ripple effect is going to bite everybody in the ass at some point. And it's come back to get us big time. Could things be handled better? Absolutely. They could be handled a lot better. But given the crime statistics that I see coming in, it needs to be done quickly. So it's going to be a bit messy. You know, it's like, what do we do? Do we want it messy to kind of self-correct here? Or do we want to watch our society get even worse? Because those are basically your two options. And our society's already, it can't give anymore. I have absolutely no idea what language you're using, but it's not an effective one. So I'm going to go ahead and just send you off of here. Also, learn how to effectively communicate, okay? Especially if you're going to bomb somebody's stream. Learn the native jargon. If you're going to bully or pester, be effective, okay? I'll give you an A for effort, but you got to do it right. Okay, I just hid that idiot forever. Done. Today would be a warrant rotten day if I was still at work. My dog is snoring so loud, y'all hear? But anyway, I was just seeing it, like everybody that's had this kind of opinion about this boy, it morphs into these big conversations. And I just noticed that it's like, yet nobody wants to talk about how we're supposed to repair all these issues so that it doesn't keep occurring. They won't let us talk about the problems in society because they don't believe that the problems. Well, if bad things keep occurring, there's a problem. Whether you believe it's there or not, something's happening in between your ability to see it and understand why. Something's happening. So, a lot of us just have to kind of, I have to learn to have a little bit more patience, because I know we're working with an inferior population right now. I know we are, and I don't care who watches this and say, "Oh my God, I'm so insulted." I don't care. I don't care. You look at test scores, educational scores, you look at aptitude testing, you look at career-based groups. We're working with an inferior population right now. That's just honestly what it is. So I'm trying to have a little bit more patience. But I know across the board, watching things happen like this and trying to be on a platform and spread a little bit of awareness, talk about things, communicate, give a different perspective, ask other people to accept a different perspective, and offer communication and debate if necessary. When all I get are 2-word responses or physical gestures, I'm going to suppose it's because you don't have any words. And then half the time, if I show a screenshot or a poster sign of something, I have to write it in print because nobody can read cursive. As if they're that much different. Y'all, it's the little things that trip us up, and we've got a lot of little things tripping our nation up right now. Would you stop snoring? Move your neck so you stop snoring. You sound like a 54 Datsun going down the road. Lord. I have no idea where the numbers came from. I was wondering what that was too. I've got so much to do. And today was just, my body's not having a good day today. I'm having a half on the fritz day. My eyes, my hands, I just don't feel well. And I'm trying to have a chill day before the test tomorrow, so my health doesn't look horrible. And then I've got to put beans up all weekend. And I'm trying to get that book read as my eyes will let me, but the last few days I've been so busy and so stressed, my eyes have not been well. Yeah, my body is, I don't know, it's in a half and half state today. So my muscles are just like, I can focus sometimes, and then I'll look back and stuff will have twisted in my eyes because my muscles are having a really bad day. And I've noticed when I've gone to grab stuff, pick stuff up, I've missed several times. I'm just having an off day. And so I'm just like, I don't want to, it's like my body's trying to shift gears but can't get into the right gear. And so I'm just trying not to push it. Because I can't afford a new transmission in myself, so I'm just trying not to push it. I can't even afford a clutch. That's the way I look at it too. If I'm griping, it must be okay. It's like when the water heater, found out the water heater had been leaking and stuff and was busted. I just laughed. I mean, it's been a good, I can't fuss, but it's been a good one. It lasted a long time. But I just laughed because I was like, if y'all have known my last year, it's just, of course it did. Sure. Yeah. You just got to laugh at it, go on, and just be like, what else is next in line? It's just, you just have to learn to look at things like that and go, well, go on with it. What you going to do about it? So that's been my last couple of days have been very stressful. And I want to get through that book, and I want to process the information, because somehow Sabrina and I always parallel, even though we don't mean to, but we end up doing it. Did anybody see her on Boomasan the other day? She had a really good interview with Boomasan. It was impromptu, which is probably the best way to get her, honestly, because things are so evolving in her realm right now. She did yell at me, and I think there's a possibility she may be doing an appearance soon. Possibility. So I'm gonna try to push that one really hard, but we'll see. But we were chit-chatting on stuff, and she was like, oh my God, that book. And I was like, I know, it just perfectly snuck right in there. And she's like, yes. So it's working really good with some of the stuff that she's talking about to give kind of like a baseline understanding of it. So I'm trying to get through this book so that everybody can have, but it's a really dense book. And so the note taking is a lot, and processing and composting. It's a lot, And then with my eyes and hands and stuff, it's a lot. But I'm trying to push it, and I was doing pretty good until the water heater and the stress the last couple of days. So, but we'll get back on track. It's okay. After my EKG and stuff and blood work tomorrow, the beans, I'll get them picked early in the morning before it gets hot, and then I can rest a little bit. Maybe we'll creep back in and get caught back up. So, but it's important for me to keep going in this because it does so perfectly kind of mirror some of the stuff that is being talked about out there right now, especially with Sabrina and with some of the Rumble channels that follow her work and her research. It's important for me to keep going because it just lined up too perfectly. Just lined up so perfectly. Oh yeah, I'm hiding today. Like if I pick beans, the sun comes up and be in the garden and then be gone as soon as the dew's starting to pull. Because there's no way my body could handle the heat. Not at all. Not at all. Just yesterday, just running to the hardware store, we went through 3 different showers, and the weather changed like 4 times. It was just the weirdest day yesterday. It was just so weird. But I do have hot water now. I am keeping an eye on it to make sure nothing's leaking. It looks like everything's plumbed fine. And I'm gonna I got my laundry done this morning. I'm gonna try to get my dishes done and because I normally try to get stuff caught up when I'm here, and I got behind because I had to show up and there's no water, and so now I feel like I'm super behind. But I'll get it squared away. But the beans are next. Beans are the next thing that's got to come in. So, but I am working. I am trying to get that book done. It is very important to me, and I want to finish it too because I'm learning so much. But if you're able, go over to Rumble, and I know non-vaxxer 420. He has a really good channel, and he's got a lot of Sabrina stuff over there. If you can't go to Ko-Fi, is it Ko-Fi or Ko-Fi? Go over to Odyssey and look up Synergy. And then if you want to go beyond that, go to Rumble and look up non-vaxxer 420, or go to D, as in letter D, Demind of Boomason. And she did that big interview. It's like a couple hours or more interview with him. And it covers the most important pieces she's put together over the last several years, and like the most talked about and questioned stuff. And then there's a potential that we may get a little bit of a respite with her within the next week. So we're trying to make that work as much as possible. I'm in a very rural area. My internet's crap, as I'm sure, and I pay for the top of the line, so I'm sure most of y'all have noticed that. And so coordinating, and it's a little bit difficult with me because of location and geography. We're gonna make it happen. So don't freak out. We're gonna make it happen. There's a possibility it may happen next week. And if I can give you warning, I will. I don't know if I always can, but I'll try. So that's the important stuff I needed to say today. I just feel like crap. So anybody else feeling like crap today, I'm there with you. I think it's weather. I honestly think it's weather. And then just the stress the last couple of days. It'll pass. Oh, I just sit here because when I try to plan, it always falls apart. And when she thinks there's a way that we're going to be able to satellite and work something out, I just try to sit real still so that she can look back and catch me. And I try to not be a moving target. That's all. That's all I do. That's the plan. That's kind of sad, isn't it? That's the best way to be about that, Just sit still and let her look back around and not be a moving target. I hope I did too. It's just a headache right here, and it's probably just the culmination. And I used muscles I shouldn't have used yesterday to help do some stuff, and they're mad at me today. So my body's kind of, it's having a who do you think you are moment. And I'm like, I just want a nap. And I think he's mad at me. He's like, no, you're not going to nap. We're not going to let you nap. What you put us through yesterday, you're not napping. And I'm like, I just need to sleep. Because if I could sleep, I could let my brain kind of reset. When you have something like MS, your brain needs to reset. And I don't know how else to explain it, but if you've ever had a family member or you yourself, you just got to let your brain reset. That's what I need so bad right now. I just need just a nap and a brain reset, and I probably feel a whole lot better, but my body's fighting me really bad. Sal, that's a possibility. Possibility. We'll see. One way or the other, we're gonna make it happen. She's been super busy, and she's changed everything about her little environment and the way she does stuff because of all the hate she'd been receiving, and she's doing so much better. But it's a lot of change and a lot of new ways of doing stuff, and so it's been pretty busy on her end for a while. But it's paying off in dividends because she's not under the stress she was under. So I'm very pleased to know that she's not being attacked like she was being attacked. So makes me happy. But I think I'm going to take little Miss Crop Duster here and let her, she's happy to snore in the recliner. I'm going to let her take a nap. And I'm going to try to take a nap. Gypsy, you go take a nap. And we'll just try to get back on track here in the next few days. Things should go better as soon as I kind of get through tomorrow. Things should kind of level back out. I don't know what else can fall apart. Knock on wood, nothing. Barring the roof, we've replaced about everything that age limit has circled around. So but hopefully things will slow down on my end, and we can get the beans in and get through my test tomorrow, get the beans in, and then life should kind of stabilize, and then the corn will come in, and then but we'll try to catch the breaks where we can. That's why I knocked on wood. But you just take it as it comes. Just take a day at a time. Take it as it comes. Just laugh at what you can't control. Really, it doesn't really upset me anymore. It's just kind of funny to see what the universe thinks you're strong enough to handle. Because apparently God thinks I can bench press a Buick. Hate to tell him, I can't. I'm not there yet. Unless he's grading on a curve. And I hope he's not. But just been a rough week. A lot of happenings, a lot of stress going on. So ask you one time, if you don't care, toss up some extra prayers for my mama for her health, and keep Dad in your prayers because he's out working the farm in these hot temperatures. He's got a cab air conditioned tractor, but does he stay in it very long? No. My dad, constantly going busy. Keep them in your prayers. My brother's been kind of puny, and he was wanting to see his granddaughter this weekend. He's got a 1-month-old granddaughter. He's been bum rushed into being a grandpa, and he's whipped. It's so funny to see my big brother whipped. But he was wanting to go back and see his little granddaughter, and he's been sick. And lo and behold, he's got strep throat pneumonia, and so he's not going anywhere. And he's not doing well. And it's just my family works outdoors, and when it becomes air conditioner season inside, and we get these heat waves, it really is hard on your body. And normally I'm the sick one, but I'm just not feeling well, but everybody else is literally sick. Normally I'm the sick one. And honestly, I would rather be the sick one and have everybody else healthy. But it's not working out that way this summer. So I'm just kind of trying to take things easier this summer and not push my body, because last summer was so hard on me. But it seems like there's a lot of sickness right now. So just toss up some prayers. And yeah, you should have seen the water things that I had, just because I know how much water I drank. The things that I filled up to have water on hand, because I didn't know how long it was going to take us to fix all this. You would have thought I was preparing for like a war to happen in Appalachia, because it looked like I was stocking up. But I just know how much I drank. And then, you got to make sure you get your salts and your electrolytes and balance the minerals. And For the life of me, I don't know why they took minerals out of water just to put them in bottles to sell them back to us. I don't know why they just didn't leave the minerals in the water. But yeah, you have to balance all that out. I cannot drink the aloe. Lord, it messes my stomach up. It just makes me want to barf. I don't know what it is, but I've tried it several times. My brother loves it. David likes it. I cannot drink it. It makes my stomach hurt. I don't know what it is. Tried it several times. So, but I try to balance with either the Celtic sea salt or the pink salt, and make sure you've got, you know, I keep lemon juice and stuff, so you can cucumbers, and you can juice up your water a little bit, and just try to make sure that you keep salt in your body during the summer, because when you're hydrating a lot, that's the first thing that will flush out. And then if you don't have the right amount of salt in your body, that it doesn't hang on to everything else, and then your food bar, you start swelling and you get sick. And so I try to be very careful. Yeah. Yep, Mary. That's like a first morning thing. Yeah, first thing in the morning, every morning. And it's just a great way to start the day and have your body kind of running on all cylinders. So salt plays a big role in my disorder. So I have to always make sure I'm, and a lot of people overhydrate in summer, and then their potassium will bottom out. And it's just, and I have health problems, so I'm hyper aware of all this. And I've been watching David like a hawk, and checking on him every little whip stitch, because I satellite around everybody. I'm a nomad, but I always check on him to make sure he's drinking enough, his intake's good, and make sure his electrolytes. So, but he's been doing okay. Of course, his job is not near as demanding as it was last summer, but it's been really, really, really hot. So. I know that you can make your own electrolyte stuff, but I'm just one of those that will buy the package. It's just easier. And there's one that I get off Amazon that I really like. It's like a pina colada flavor. Oh gosh. Comes in a black bottle with a green label. It's about this tall. It's got a scoop. And it's really good. Like, it does my body better than like a liquid IV or anything will do. I like it a lot. And it's more affordable. I think you can mix like 45 or 60 drinks out of it, and it's like $14, $13, $14. It's pretty good. I will try to snag a picture of it, but I like it quite a bit. It balances me out pretty good, and then I just have to worry about my salt and a few other things that I intake. But yeah, this weather's been rough on people. The stress of the nation is one thing, and then the weather system's another. It's coming from all sides, y'all, all sides. And I'm just sitting here looking around going, well, crap. I'm just backing away slowly, finding a quiet place to sit, because I'd rather be sitting in a quiet spot looking at the mania as sitting in the mania trying to find a quiet spot. So I'm just trying to back away slowly. That's all I'm. I never have really been a big. I don't like it when I've gone to like events. I might have a mixed drink or something. I used to like to have a rum runner. My muscles are hurting so bad today. You see that muscle? It hurts so bad. So I move it because it's trying to freeze. Watch it pop up, y'all. If you didn't think I lifted weights, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. It hurts though. I keep moving it so it won't lock up. But I like have a rum runner or a little shot of something, a little cream soda shot, or fruity little drink or something. But I never have been a really big drinker. And literally one or two, and I'll be done. Give me a bottle of water. I just want to mingle. Not really big on alcohol. But I have always liked the flavor of pina colada. Maybe that's why I like rum runners. I don't know. Oh, Lord, we got another troll. Another blind troll. What's it? My missile, it just pops itself up, and then I have to... Y'all, I'd like to give my missiles to everybody else for a day because I'm so old now, but they're still there, and they work against me. And I hate this disorder, and it makes me mad when it does it, but... Like, I literally have to push my traps down to keep them down. Thank you, Margaret. I was waiting for a verb and a predicate. Okay, y'all, I've talked all. That's all I had to talk about. That's all I wanted to say. Just a couple of things to think about. Just my perspective on things. I'm going to go try to make my eyes rest again. Y'all can tell I'm just in one of those days. My disorder's winning today. Chapter 4 is much like Chapter 3, but we've got to get through it to get to the good stuff. And y'all need all the stepping stones because it builds up to what we're going to. And we're going to get through it. I just have to be able to read my notes and focus. So me and Luna are going to retry a nap. We're going to see how we go later today. And if you don't see me the rest of the day, just know I'm still struggling. And maybe tomorrow around my health appointment, we can get caught back up and then stay caught up. Because if I'm picking beans and putting beans up this weekend, it'll be early. And then I'll come back and rest a little bit and then do what I need to do. So we'll try to get back on track. And like I said, go watch Sabrina's stuff on Odyssey. If you can, go to Non-Vaxxer 420 on Rumble. Go to D-Mind, D as in the letter D, D-Mind of Boomason. And watch that interview she did. I will try to leave the link in a community post when I get off of here. I'll try to remember to do that. I got to take Luna outside first. And that way y'all can go watch it. It's a very good overall encompassing of the important stuff, you know. So if you're new here or you just want to get caught up or you just want to go back through things and see if you can hang on better, it's a great one. Aria? I was hoping that, you know, maybe David had found a place he could land that he was going to like, but apparently they don't like him. So Ko-Fi is like, as a tanner, they think that him sharing pictures of the animals he tans or his finished tan products is hostile and graphic. I don't know if they go to the grocery store and walk by the meat department. Apparently people are such pansies they can't function. I would hate to know that basically half of society needs the bumpers I needed in the bowling alley to function in real life. It's just sad. Margaret. I don't know if I can find any help to that, but I don't know. Let me see. Let me see. I can't promise anything. It'll be a long shot, but let me see. Okay, I'll post that link to the interview. It's actually really informative, and they kept it lighthearted and pretty entertaining. So it's pretty good. And you see her in a different light. It's nice. So go see that. I know. The gears are grinding today. There's not... I feel like my whole body and my brain needs to be WD-40 and then washed off. That's what I feel like. Maybe they would work then. But let me see what I can do. I'll post the link. Y'all go get caught up. We'll get to chapter 4. And if you can't be there during the live, just know I'm doing a live to get it out there, to interact with people that can't get there. It will be left up. It will be put in the playlist so that you can go and catch up on the chapters in the book. Not a big deal. I know everybody's busy, got all the stuff going on. My life is like that too. Don't worry about it. But they'll be left up, put on the playlist so you can go find it readily and go and review it. And we will get through this book and back on track. We just had a what the crap week, and I think we've got the crap cleaned up. So maybe life will get back to its normal. The normal abnormal instead of the really cattywampus abnormal. Okay, that's what I'm looking for right now. All right, it's time to walk, little Miss Luna May. Boomate is a lot of fun. He's funny. I had never seen him, but I really like his personality, and I like the way he talks about everything. Like, he just throws it all out there. I like that. Yeah, you'll want to take notes. Watch it a few times. But it's really good. So if you're not super hyper aware of everything, it's just a good little conglomerate of the top keynotes, and it will kind of get you caught up and understanding kind of what's being looked at and where the angles are and stuff. Really good interview. Okay, I'm going to go try to nap again after she potties. I'm exhausted. My eyes tell on me. I'm just so tired today. And we'll try it again tomorrow. That's the best I can offer today with my body. So earrings are fixing to come out. Pajamas are going on, and I'm gonna give up on today. We'll try it again tomorrow. And hopefully my body will hold off on a flare until I get the beans in. It's really what I'm trying to like barter and bargain with myself right now. Like, give me 3 days, then you can collapse. I got to get the beans in. So, but toss up some prayers and keep us in your thoughts, and we'll get back on track. I promise. Margaret. We'll get back on track, and it's squared away. I promise. Just life kind of did this for a couple days, but it's okay. I got my hands there going, woohoo! All I'm gonna do is laugh about it. Okay, I'm gonna take a little Miss Snores a lot outside. Y'all have a great day, and if I feel good, I'll hop on later. If not, we'll try again tomorrow. I'm taking a nap. Bye, guys.